Hello everybody. In this video, I'm going to show you how we can use the Loft command on the iPad in order to make essentially a speaker with like a smooth horn shape. If you're looking to make like an exterior horn, you can basically just repeat this step twice, once to make your overall shape, and then once again to make your actual cutout. So if we look at it from the side view here, trying to see if I can do a section view on the iPad, and it doesn't look like it. So I'll have to show it to you on the computer version here real quick. Um, so this is on the desktop version, just so you can see what the inside looks like. This isn't super important, but if I cut into this, you can see how I have that kind of smooth curved shape from a square hole for where my phone speaker could be to a big circle on the other side for where I want the sound to come out of. Now, this design is going to use way more plastic than what we would like it to use. And so I suggest you use this just as a guide to get started, not necessarily something to follow step by step. So I'm going to start a new part studio down here, just for the sake of keeping it all together in one file. So the first thing I'm going to do is just make a big cube that I'm working off of. So I'm going to start a sketch on the front plane. I'm going to view normal to sketch plane. And now what I want is I want the center or the origin to be the perfect center of my cube. So I'm going to do a center rectangle off of the origin, drag it out. And like I said, I'm making this fairly large, and this is going to use way more plastic than what you can use, but I'm going to make a 5" by 5" cube. All right, and then I'm going to extrude this back. I suppose I'll just extrude it back 5" as well. Like I said, I want that origin to be in the front. Sure, we'll just make it one big cube. There we go. All right, so now I'm going to start with the loft steps. So this actually takes 3 pieces. So if I look back at my part studio before, you can see I've got 3 sketches on the side here. I've got my front horn. I've got the path that we're going to follow. And then I've got my square at the top. So I'm going to make that front hole first. So I'm going to start a new sketch on the front face, view normal, and I'm just going to make a circle. And this can be whatever shape you want it to be for your end horn. I'm just doing a circle for the sake of the problem. All right, I'm going to give it a dimension. Let's say, how about 4 inches? Perfect, done with that sketch. So next, I'm going to make my path, and this is definitely the tricky part. I'm going to start a sketch, and I'm going to start it on the right plane. So I want it there on the right plane. Now the reason this is important too is I need to be able to see that origin, and that needs to be the exact center of my sketch. If you're not working perfectly on the origin, what you'll need to do is use the use function that's in here. Where would that be at? Right there, like we did on the Onshape modules 4, right? So we want to be able to use the center because the path that we make needs to start right there. So I'm going to make an arc, a 3-point arc. I need to start it at the center of my circle, and I want it to go all the way up close to the top, but not all the way to the top. Oh, not like that. Oh, let me undo that. I didn't want the curve to go backwards. I want it to go forwards. That's close enough for now. So the reason is because I'm going to draw a little vertical line on top of that going straight up like that. And the reason is let me undo, there we go, is we have to make these tangent because there's kind of 2 pieces to it. One, we want the end of our path to be perfectly vertical, and 2, it has to be perfectly smooth. So what I'm doing here is I'm making it so that the very top has a way to be perfectly vertical. So the next step then is I need to put that point on the very top line. So I need to make those coincident on each other, like that. So now lastly, you can kind of play with these and try to get it to be a curve that you like. As long as it's smooth, it's good. So once you like kind of how it looks, I don't want it to go down below at all, so I'm going to put it right there. And again, this could affect your design, right? The end there is the center of where your speaker sits. So you might need to add some dimensions so that you can reference to it later as well. So maybe from there to there, maybe on your speaker that has to be exactly 2 inches. Don't know. Let's make it 2.5, just so it goes back a little farther. Perfect. All right, so next I need to make, so I've got my center, I've got my path. Next, because I'm already perfectly at the top, I'm going to make my other sketch. Now, if you are making this as a separate horned piece, you need to have a plane at the end of that point. So what you can do is actually, so imagine you're just this far, you don't have anything except for this. You need to make a plane at the end of that point. So what you could do, and again, this is if you're making it as a separate horn, otherwise skip this part. I need to make, not a sketch, I need to make a plane at the end of that point. You guys remember doing the curve plane, or the curve point? That was at the end of the line for the mug, the handle of the mug. So we picked that point at the end of that line, and it should make a plane perfectly perpendicular at the end there. Now, again, we don't need to do that on ours because we've already got that set, right? And then just like before on the mug, you could use the use option then to project that single point so you can get the center down. All right, so now I'm going to start a sketch just on top of my box. View normal to sketch plane again. So I'm sideways, that's okay. So I'm going to draw a center point rectangle with that point as the center. But it looks like I need to use the use function being on the iPad. So let me go back. I need to use that point, right? Because that's where my path ends. So I need to be able to make sure that my rectangle ends perfectly on that point. From here, I can put my hole, and this is going to be the size of the speaker on my phone at the bottom, right? We want to make sure it's relevant dimension. So let's estimate. I'm going to say this is about 1/8 of an inch, so 0.125. And we're going to say that maybe it is 1/2 an inch wide. Again, this is going to be different for each of your phones. There's my little speaker for my phone. Done with that sketch. All right, and now we're finally ready to loft. I'm going to turn these planes off so we can see a little bit clearer. We've got my horn at the end, my speaker hole at the top, and the path that it follows. So, like I said, this looks like a sweep, but it's actually a loft operation. So in the features menu, I'm going to pick loft. I'm going to go from the circle at the front to the rectangle at the top. And then I need to select down here the path, and I need to turn that on. And I want that path that we created. Now, I don't want to click here. I want to click on the sketch itself, so clicking sketch 3. The reason is that we've got 2 lines there, right? So we need to be able to select both of them. Oh, it selected it as a profile. Let's go back and remove that. So the path I want right here, that's the path. I want the full sketch 3, not just the single line, right? Because we had it set right now as just the, right, we've got 2 different lines on there, so we need both of them. All right, it looks like our profiles are set. Our path is set. We should be able to just check it and see. Oh, we have it set as an add, though. Let's go back. So we don't want to add material there, right? We're trying to remove material. And there it goes. So now we've got our big horn on there. So now suppose, I'm going to break this just briefly. I'm going to delete this big rectangle. Actually, no, I can't delete the rectangle. Let's just hide the part. And instead, let's make this a new part feature. Okay, so imagine that we were making just like a horn on it, right? Like we were trying to make a megaphone. What I would have to do from here then is I would have to make another sketch on here. I could make another circle, basically essentially just repeating the steps, right? We don't need to make the path again because the path is going to be exactly the same. I could start another sketch on top of this rectangle here. I want to turn on sketch 3 so we can see that center. And then I need to use that center. Then do another center point rectangle. Again, you should probably throw dimensions on here. I'm just doing this quick for reference. And then from here now I can just do a loft again. So the first one gave me my shape. The second one is going to give me my cutout then. Make sure we've got all this correct. This time it would be a remove. We would have a path. That path would be, again, sketch 3. There we go. So now you see how it's cut out. And again, because of how we had it set, we have it really thin, so it made some holes in it. But that's the gist of how you can make some sort of horn shape. You could also just use an extrude or sweep as well, but here's a way you can make kind of a curved path. If you have any questions, let me know. The last thing to mention is that if you wanted to make it like a curved sketch for some reason, it's going to be really tricky to do it that way, like curving in 2 dimensions. So saying that suppose your speaker hole was like over here off to the side, it's curving up and to the side. There's a way to do it, but it's going to be tough. So I can help you figure that out if needed. Best of luck to you guys.